All right, hello and welcome to Never Leave Your SAP HANA Database Unprotected again. Now, today's exciting webinar is sponsored by Rubrik and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Jess Steinbach with Actual Tech Media, and I am excited to be your moderator for this conversation. Now, I'm guessing that many of you out there today are relying on SAP HANA databases to power some of those most critical applications in your organization. And as we consider this ever-growing landscape of what we need to protect in our organizations and really what we're protecting for and against, in our effort to find that next helpful solution, right? That next piece of armor to add to our infrastructure. Well, it can be easy for silos to develop. And that dreaded, I call this the Frankenstein monster, the Frankenstein approach that results in this overly bulky and manual processes, right? We're just sticking everything on and sticking on that new tool and that new exciting innovative thing. And it might be a great opportunity, but if you just keep sticking things on, you can end up with silos. You can end up in a worst case scenario, you can actually leave data susceptible to those very disasters and attacks that we were trying to avoid in the first place. And that can be a really scary, potentially overwhelming feeling. So before we get too dark, here's the good news. Today, we have with us two top experts from Rubrik who are going to help us understand how you can get that speed and efficiency while protecting even the largest of your SAP HANA databases. So basically, we've got speed meets peace of mind. How cool is that, right? Now, I'm going to get to our expert speakers in just a moment here, but I want to get through just a few housekeeping points so that we can get this show on the road. Let's get on into it. So we're going to think of this as like a guided tour of your audience console. Now, many of you have been through this tour with me before, so come back down on memory lane with me. And if this is your first webinar, welcome, and we'll take a little time to get to know your console. So what we're going to start with is that handy dandy questions window on your audience console. You're going to find that tab right now, and you're going to give it a little bit of a test run. You're going to start out by saying hi, say hello, give a little wave to the community out there with us today. I see lots of wonderful people out there. Hey, Rakesh. Hey, Kunal, Brian, Deepak, Martin, Ed, Richard, Edgar, Daniel, and so many more. I love it. So keep those highs and hellos coming in. Make sure you are saying hello to our awesome, awesome crew of humans here with us today. Now, as a quick side note, that window is also going to be the best place to reach out and let us know if you do have any technical issues during our session today. Knock on wood, as always. But if those little tech gremlins are getting you today, no problem. A browser refresh is probably going to get rid of most of them. So give that a try first. But if that doesn't work, shoot us a message in that questions tab, and the Actual Tech Media crew will be there to help you out. All right, the last thing I want to point out on our little guided tour here today is that handouts tab. So please make sure that you do spend some time clicking around in the handouts tab, check out those cool resources and follow-ups to our conversation today, and spend a little more time exploring Rubrik. All right, my friends, now it is not just awesome content that we are giving away today. We also have a $250 Amazon gift card as a prize drawing at the end of our webinar. Of course, you do need to be here in live attendance during the webinar in order to qualify to win. And all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. If you're not sure what those are, don't worry. I don't have them memorized either. You can head on over to that handouts tab. You can click and scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find the full T's and C's linked for you there. All right, well, that was it for all the housekeeping. I said I would keep it nice and short and sweet, and hopefully I've accomplished at least some of those goals for you this morning. But let's go ahead and get this conversation rolling. So today we are going to be chatting with a superstar team. The one and only Sean McElhenney, Database Solutions Architect at Rubrik, is here with us, as well as Frank Schwack, Field CTO at Rubrik. Sean and Frank, I'm so excited to get into this conversation with you guys today. I know you have a lot in store with us, some really cool conversations ahead. So I am going to step back and get ready to learn. I'll hand things right on over to you. Take it away, Sean.
Sean McElhenney, a database solutions architect here at Rubrik, and today I'll be speaking with you about SAP HANA protection and how you can ensure you never will leave your SAP HANA databases unprotected. Database teams have a number of questions about database protection and recovery. We'll discuss 5 of their major concerns, starting with, how do I keep all my data secure and available? But before we dig into details, there's one concept that we really need to drive home. And that's the fact that SAP HANA has multiple components to protect. It consists of the HANA system and a series of databases, typically the system and the tenant database element. The system is going to ultimately communicate with the backend API to manage backup activities. And this is where Rubrik's going to start to enter the picture. Our protection starts by deploying the Rubrik appliance. And this can be done either within one of your data centers or at one of the three major cloud providers. Now, we can actually deploy the Rubrik backup service and ensure secure communications between our SAP HANA hosts and Rubrik. Note that all the communication initiated by Rubrik is secure. When Rubrik's going to send a backup request, the RBS will relay the request to HANA and leverage backend to write the backups to Rubrik over secure thread. If the database is large enough, Rubrik has multi-channel support too. Here's something else to note. Integrating with the backend API is nothing new to Rubrik. Our connector leverages the Rubrik backup service, which is a simple RPM package. It includes an SSL certificate to enable authenticated connections with the Rubrik cluster, supports SAP HANA v2 on either the x86-64 platforms or PowerPC. It has a single module that can support either on-prem deployments or your cloud deployments of SAP HANA. And it's our latest SAP HANA certified solution. Now we can start to consider two other things. How do I protect my entire SAP HANA environment? And how can I meet my backup window and have the backups accessible ASAP? This is a twofold question that is addressed by the power of Rubrik's SLA domains. First, you can create granular backup frequencies and create a backup window for them to execute it. Once the backup is complete, it's available in the SAP HANA backup catalog as a recovery. Next, the SLA domains you create can be assigned at the SAP HANA system level, ensuring that all the databases associated with that system will inherit that SLA. Now, another question was, how about accessing my backups? It's funny you should ask. How you're going to access the backups is really going to be dependent on your role in the organization. Your backup admins can access the backups via the UI. And your basis admins are going to be able to access them via their standard tools, say HANA Studio in this example. Now, our last question really concerns centralized management of the solution. Let's go back to that initial graphic to try to explain this. We have a system in place. You might have several Rubrik clusters deployed. In order to manage that holistically, you need something to make it happen. Welcome to Rubrik Security Cloud. It's going to provide you that single pane of glass to manage activities across your entire Rubrik deployment. You can use it to automate discovery and protection, define and update your SLAs, and leverage centralized reporting and monitoring of your entire deployment. The best part? Your backups are still going to remain local to the clusters in either your data centers or your cloud environment. RSC is simply leveraging the metadata and only communicates to your Rubrik clusters over secure channels. Another item of note, Rubrik also supports the scale up and scale out systems for SAP HANA. It'll take care of higher frequency log backups and SAP HANA log replication. If you've happened to be a user of previous generations of our SAP HANA solution, you'll really appreciate the fact that you no longer have to go and maintain bootstrap scripts or managed volumes in order to enable your SAP HANA protection. I've told you quite a bit about the Rubrik for SAP HANA offering, but customer feedback is always of immeasurable value. So I'm going to turn it over to Frank Schlock, who's one of our field CTOs in Europe, who had an opportunity to discuss our SAP HANA protection with Reed Beaver of Dawn Foods. I'll turn it over to Frank so we can hear what one of our valued customers actually has to say about the product.
Thank you, Sean. Hi, everyone. My name is Frank Schlock. I'm a field CTO of Rubrik in the EMEA region. And today I'd like to introduce one of our customers. It's Reed Beaver, who's a server engineer at Dawn Foods. Hey, Reed, how are you doing?
How are you doing? Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. So everything today is about SAP HANA. And before we start, could you please talk a little bit about your environment, your SAP HANA landscape, like database sizes, if you're using scale up or scale out technologies, number of databases, and so on?
Sure. We are obviously a HANA customer. SAP has, as you know, has mandated everybody move to HANA, complete their move to HANA by 2025. So we are in the midst of moving and upgrading and doing all those fun things. Currently, we have ECC and BW running in HANA, and the database sizes range from 700 gigs to 1.5, and I think we even have one that's 2 terabytes. We are scale up using on-prem, HANA certified appliances at Dawn Foods. So we've been on HANA for, I don't know, maybe the better part of 4.5 years, working through, migrating from Microsoft SQL Server onto SAP HANA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. So yes, the deadline that SAP set to the year 2025, I think they rode back a couple of times, but yeah, there is still a lot of uncertainty about the future of the SAP HANA landscape, about in regards to what database can run underneath. But you're not protecting just SAP HANA with Rubrik. What other applications are you protecting?
Well, we protect just about everything with Rubrik at Dawn Foods. It is the main backup technology. We're a VMware ESXi shop, so 99% of our VMs are protected with Rubrik. We also utilize Microsoft SQL Server for a variety of workloads. Those are all protected with Rubrik as well. And along with, file servers and print servers and all the, other good stuff that you have to back up as well.
Got it. So it's all about centralized management of the entire Dawn Foods IT landscape with Rubrik. So, and when it comes to the recoverability of the data and accessibility, I mean, the ultimate goal of recovering data is to have it accessible. How do you make it available to your secondary users?
The feature that we use the most is the live mount within the Rubrik, which makes it super easy to, mount a VMDK or a HANA database or a SQL database, whatever you need to mount, you just mount it up there. It takes, 30 seconds, and then you can pull whatever data out. You can look at whatever you need to look at. If you want to recover it, you can do that. It's a very nice feature within the Rubrik landscape. So we use that the most frequently when we need to look at something. That's how we do it.
Great. So, and how do you and your team ensure that you keep all the data secure and available?
Well, security is a big deal given today's threat landscape. So we go with the layered approach that I think most organizations use. And Rubrik makes it very easy for us to do this. Obviously, the backups are immutable. However, we also encrypt all the data due to GDPR regulations. We utilize a feature called Rubrik SLA domain lock, which locks the SLA domains and prevents those domains from being changed. And that's important because if a threat actor or somebody gets in and they say they change your SLA domains to 0 days, all your data can be erased. So those are locked. The other thing we we do is we turned on MFA on the Rubrik. So when somebody logs in, they have to have, a code from Google Authenticator or another authenticator platform. So that helps protect the our data on the bricks. And those are all, technologies that are integrated into Rubrik. I mean, it's a few clicks inside the console and those things are turned on.
Right. Understood. So you're living and breathing zero trust basically by using multi-factor authentication, end-to-end encryption, the retention lock, which is really key. So you're basically following the Rubrik best practices that for the implementation of the Rubrik environment. That's really good. But how do you ensure that, for example, newly created databases are being protected with Rubrik and you're not missing something?
Well, Rubrik has a feature called automated discovery and protection. And what that does is it will automatically detect SAP HANA or Microsoft SQL databases, and it will protect them using policies that have already been set up in the brick. So, it's every once in a while, a database gets missed for whatever reason, and this helps to prevent that. I do want to say one other thing about zero trust. We purchased a technology called Rubrik Ransomware Monitoring and Investigation, and what it does is it uses machine learning to detect unusual behavior, say for example purposes, the encryption of files, and that behavior is then reported to us. This is very important for a very key reason, is if you ever get hit with ransomware, one of the things you need to determine is what recovery point you'd have to move to recover your data. And if you have that information logged, that question can be very easy to answer. So I just wanted to mention that. I know it doesn't specifically have to do with SAP HANA, but it won't just be HANA that you'll be recovering in a ransomware. It'll be application servers and other things. So I wanted to mention that.
Yeah, no, it's a very good point, because those anomaly detections or the results of the analysis, you will usually receive 15 minutes once the backup is completed. And it can actually give you an indication for something's happening on specific servers, maybe even before the users will detect that.
Right.
So if it's a file server or something. So no, that's really cool. The next question is around performance. You just briefly talked about the database sizes that you have in your environment, 500 gigabytes up to 2 terabytes. How important is the backup and recovery performance to you, and how do you achieve that?
Well, performance obviously is key. In order to get that, we run multi-channel backups. The other thing I guess I want to say, or I kind of want to weave into this answer, is we test our backups once a month. So we will recover a VM, we will recover a database, we will recover, the C drive of a SQL server to ensure that we can do that. We have never had a failure with Rubrik. We have a 100% success rate. If Rubrik says that something is backed up, we've never had an issue recovering that data. So I just wanted to kind of weave that into the answer. But yeah, the multi-channel is key for us, and we utilize that to get the maximum, to get the quickest recovery time possible.
Right. Understood. So yeah, it's again zero trust. You assume the breach and you're testing the recoveries on a regular basis. This is also one of the best practices, and also what the zero trust model or architecture requires. So that's good. 100% success rate on the recovery. I guess it's hard to believe, but if it's true, it's true. Yeah. So that's
true.
That's a nice number, really, 100% success rate. But if something happens to your HANA environment and maybe to Rubrik, what kind of impact would that have to Dawn Foods?
Well, there would be a significant financial impact to Dawn Foods. ECC is if SAP is the heart of, Dawn Foods' ERP platform, which it is, ECC is the heart of HANA. And without that, SAP doesn't work. Mm-hmm. For Dawn Foods, if SAP is down, manufacturing is down, supply chain is affected. We can't order. We can't purchase anything. We can't ship anything. We cannot pick goods in a warehouse. It is a very significant issue if that goes down. Mm-hmm. So Rubrik is a key in that, a major key in ensuring that we can get that data back in the event that it's lost or for whatever reason we can't get to it on our production systems.
So yeah, it's quite scary to hear about the impact because of just SAP downtime. But if the entire business is relying on the SAP infrastructure, then I can understand that. So scary, but I really like to thank you for all this real life context. Do you have any final thoughts for our audience?
We are, I don't know if I mentioned this before, we are in the middle of a Rubrik refresh. So we're on our second cycle of Rubrik hardware. We're moving, literally as we speak, we're moving hardware into data centers and getting data migrated off of the old bricks and onto the new bricks. We stayed with Rubrik for one main reason, and that's the partnership that we have with Rubrik. Our account reps are, continue the relationship with Dawn Foods. It's not just a situation where they sell you a bunch of hardware and then you never hear from them again. If we need anything, we know how to get in touch with them 24/7. We need a ticket escalated. We need anything at all. They're right there. So for us at Dawn Foods, it's not just how the technology works, which that's important, but it's also the partnership you have with the vendor that is selling you the technology. And that's in my opinion, just as important. Mm-hmm. So, we're going to stay with Rubrik because we value the partnership that we have with them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's very good to hear. I mean, partnership is I would say equally important than the technology, right? And Rubrik lives out of customer ideas. So if you have anything that you'd like to have improved or implemented, let them know, and we can feed that into our product management organization. And we also have 300 dedicated ransomware response team support engineers that could help you in case you get attacked. They're really dedicated just to you, like a team out of these 300 people that do nothing else than helping our customers out of a ransomware attack or recovering from it.
Let's hope I never have to call on them.
Yeah, today there's no guarantee for that anymore, unfortunately. Right. But yeah. No, thank you really, or very much really for the time and for the information that you shared with us.
Thank you, Frank.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. And with that, I hand it back over to Sean.
It's always great to hear from a satisfied customer. Really want to thank Frank and Reed for taking the time to discuss our SAP HANA features for Rubrik. But I got to tell you, as a DBA, it really blows my mind that Dawn Foods is able to achieve a 100% success rate with recovery testing. That truly is a testament to the value that Rubrik can provide. If there's one overarching concept that we really want you to take from this breakout, it's the fact that you're always going to need a way to keep all your databases safe and have the ability to recover just what you need when you need it. And Rubrik is here to help you attain that goal.
Man, I love that final thought. And certainly, Sean, I think you've walked us through some great examples of how Rubrik can help our audience hit those goals. And so I also want to say a big thank you to Sean and to Frank and to Reed for joining us. It's a really cool opportunity when you get to hear about a solution in action and how it actually has impacted an organization. Because obviously it's one thing to hear it from the team itself, and it's another thing to hear it from someone who's gotten the opportunity to play around in that sandbox and see it working for them and helping solve some of those real world problems. And I also think, and something that Reed said kind of towards the end of his conversation with Frank there, really stands out for me because it comes up quite a bit in conversations that we're having around decision making, right? How do you pick the right vendor for you? And is it just about the right solution? And what Reed said, I think, is really important to consider, that you're also looking for a vendor or solution that comes along with a partnership. And Rubrik really being that partner that's going to work with you and see if they can align with what you're trying to do and what your goals are and where you need to get to and what your specific needs are. And that is so important when you're choosing that right solution, right? Is to be able to have that conversation, to not just feel like you're being sold or pitched or that you're just a box to tick before they move on to that next client, but instead to have that relationship and that partnership. So I'm really glad that we got to hear a little bit about that partnership today from Frank and Reed. And I think for me, that really resonated and stood out quite a bit in the presentation, as well as some great info from you, Sean. So, thanks to the whole crew. That was a really interesting discussion and presentation to sit in on. And I'm glad we got to spend some time with all of you today. And I do want to remind all of you out there in our wonderful audience with us here that if you haven't already done so, please do visit that handout section. Make sure you're clicking on all of those links and click on that option to learn a little bit more, to get started with Rubrik. Spend a little bit of time exploring Rubrik, and hey, reach out to the team, because again, that's what we were just talking about, right? Is that you have this opportunity to build this connection, this partnership, this relationship with Rubrik. So put that to the test, get to know them a little bit and decide if that is going to be the right solution for you. If you're already a Rubrik customer, maybe now is time to reach out and see if you want to deepen or strengthen or enhance some of that relationship as well. So certainly some follow-ups for all of you out there. Now we're going to keep things short and sweet here today, and that means it is already time for our $250 Amazon gift card, and we will be giving that away to some lucky winner who is here live and present at the webinar. And that lucky human is Deepo Wirwan from California. Deepo Wirwan, there's an extra A in there, Wirwan from California. Congratulations to you, Deepo. As always, we will get in touch about claiming your prize after we wrap up the webinar, so stay tuned for that. All right, well, with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Rubrik and our incredible speakers for making this webinar possible today. Sean and Frank and Reed coming and sharing some of that personal story. You've all given us a lot to think about and started some conversations, I hope, for some of you out there. And now, as we go on about our wonderful days, I don't know, for some reason I thought it was Wednesday for a little bit today, and now all of a sudden I was about to say have a great Friday. I don't know, my brain is confused about what day it is, but I hope you're enjoying this lovely Tuesday that we're having. And before you go on about your day, I hope that you're carrying some of the information that we've taken away today and bringing that into your conversations. And again, that's where those handouts can be helpful, is to kind of come back and jog your memory. And on that note, and speaking of all of you, as always, my biggest thank you, my most heartfelt thank you goes to all of you for joining us here this morning, for taking time out of your busy mornings, afternoons, evenings, wherever you are in the world, and joining in this conversation. And for all of you that said hi and hello, I love seeing that. So thank you for being a part of that conversation with me today and chit-chatting, because it certainly makes my day a little brighter. So big high fives, big thank yous to all of you out there as well. And I hope that you're all taking away something fun and engaging and interesting that you want to dig in and explore a little bit further, because obviously these conversations are just the starting point, right? And there's lots more to get into from here. So thank you very much for spending some time with us this morning. I hope that I get to see you all at a webinar, a megacast, an ecocast, a future discussion coming up soon. And until then, I hope you all have an absolutely beautiful rest of your day.